noches, amigos hermosos y maravillosos. Bienvenidos, bienvenidos to our screencast on Unit 3. Unit 3 featuring family, friends, pets. So you see, so we're going to take the stuff that you already know, like describing people, and to some degree you know about talking about age, what people are like, where people are from, and names. And we're going to take those and we're going to spiral up a level to apply that same stuff with a few changes to your family. So let's take a look. I recommend that before you start watching this screencast, you view or perhaps print, if you can, the Unit 3 handout, or packet rather. It's a packet which is on Google Classroom, Unit 3 resources, and view or print that, have that at your side, look it over before we go ahead. And of course, also be ready in the screencast for tricky things that have nothing to do with learning Spanish, but that I might throw into a Google form quiz. Let's take a look, amigos. Unit 3, La Familia y las Mascotas. The family and pets is what the title is. Okay, let's run through this vocab together to learn how to pronounce it. La familia, the family. El padre, the father. La madre, the mother. You remember that el and la both mean the masculine, the feminine. El abuelo and la abuela, grandfather, grandmother. El bisabuelo, la bisabuela, great grandfather, great grandmother. El padrastro, the stepfather. La madrastra, the stepmother. El esposo and la esposa, husband, wife, similar to English spouse. El hijo and la hija, son and daughter. El nieto and la nieta, grandson, granddaughter. El hermano, la hermana, brother, sister. Don't forget H silent in Spanish. El hermanastro, la hermanastra, stepbrother, stepsister. El tío, la tía, uncle, aunt. Notice the written accent on the I. El sobrino, la sobrina, nephew, niece. El primo, la prima, cousin, male and female. El vecino, la vecina, neighbor, male and female. Same word root that gives you English vicinity. El amigo and la amiga, friend, male and female. La mascota, the pet. Now, amigos, gender in Spanish is a very difficult subject. It's part of the language that is not nice and neat. So mascota is a feminine noun, even for your masculine dog. Relax, take it one day at a time. It'll all work out. But yes, you would say, tengo una mascota. I have a pet, and it's a feminine noun. El perro and la perra, the dog, masculine, feminine. So you notice perro with an R, but perro with the trilling double R, dog. El gato and la gata, cat, male, female. El caballo, the horse. El conejo, the rabbit. El pájaro, the bird. That was pájaro. El pez, the fish. La cobaya, guinea pig. El hurón, ferret. El ratón, mouse. They also use that with a computer mouse as well. El hámster, el gerbo, that was hamster and gerbil. El gecko. La culebra, snake. La tortuga, the turtle. And if you have some other exotic pet that isn't on this list, you can just Google it so you can tell us about it in class. Then we have exactly 2 new adjectives. Joven, young, is a kind of Spanish adjective that doesn't agree for gender. So mi hermano is joven, mi hermana is joven, no difference in gender. And viejo and vieja, that's old, like mi abuelo es viejo, mi bisabuela es vieja. My great-grandmother is old. So you see, then there's a few here at the bottom of page 1. I'm going to go over them in more detail when we get to the next page of some of the supporting grammar. But for now, on page 1 there, se llama, it's the he, she form of the verb, of the name verb, to call oneself, like mi madre se llama Mary. My mother's name is Mary. We'll be talking about it more in the next few minutes. Tengo, tienes, tiene, the very important different parts of the verb to have. Yo tengo un amigo, tú tienes un amigo, Fred tiene un amigo, I have, you have, he, she has. Mi and tú, you actually saw them in ¿Cuál es tu número de teléfono? Mi número de teléfono es blah, blah, blah. They're called possessive adjectives, is their name. Un, a masculine, una, a feminine. You saw those in things like ¿Tienes un lápiz? You have a lápiz, a pencil, because lápiz is a masculine noun. And ¿Tienes una pluma? You have a pen, pen being a feminine noun, so una. Okay, let's see, random stop number 1. Look at tonight's hat. Oh, Brigantine Beach. Brigantine Beach is in New Jersey. My brother has a summer place there. Sometimes we visit. Look at that sea turtle on the hat. Very nice. Now we'll see which one of those random details ends up in our Screencast Google quiz. Now we're going to move to page 2 in your Unit 3 packet. Agua. Agua es excelente. Agua is my favorite drink. So page 2, supporting grammar. The first thing on there is using se llama for his, her, name is. So earlier you learned me llamo Bill or yo me llamo Bill. And como te llamas, and the he, she form of that verb is se llama. This verb really means to call oneself. So we want to compare what you've already learned with what you're learning now. In Unit 1, you had como te llamas tú. The te llamas is really a 2-word verbal group, meaning to call yourself. Como te llamas tú is how do you call yourself? You could respond with yo me llamo Bill, or the yo can be left out, as we've talked about a lot. Me llamo Bill. That's really a 2-word verbal group. Me llamo Bill, myself, I call Bill. The double L word is the to call verb. And the words like te and me, those are what we call reflexive pronouns. In English, they're things like yourself and myself. I saw myself in the mirror. So, como te llamas? How do you call yourself? Me llamo Bill. I call myself Bill. Now we're going to add the third person, the he, she version of that. It's the similar but a little bit different se llama. So, ¿cómo se llama tu amigo? How does your friend call himself? And answer, as you see there near the top of page 2, mi amigo se llama Seth. My friend calls himself Seth. So, this is also why in these constructions you won't be saying ace. Like it's a super common error to say, me llamo Ace Bill. You think you're saying my name is Bill. Me llamo Ace Bill. That must be my name is Bill. But it's not. That would be mistaken. Me is myself. Llamo is I call. Bill, myself, I call Bill. Me llamo Bill. So no ace in those. Not me llamo Ace Bill. Not mi amigo se llama Ace Seth. That is incorrect. That's an error of Spanish grammar. Now moving down page 2, let's really focus on these 3 verbs to have, the versions of to have. Tengo, tienes, tiene. You've seen them a lot, but I think it's really time to kind of stop making mistakes with them and get them correct in their usage. You haven't had much grammar. Among the grammar that you've had, this is some of the most important grammar that you've had. So tengo is the I have verb. You've seen it in places like tengo 15 años. I have 15 years. Tienes is the he, she version. You've seen it in places like tienes un lápiz? Do you have a pencil? Now, tiene, we've seen a couple of times, but now it'll be very featured in this packet. The he, she form of the verb. So you say, yo tengo 15 años, I have 15 years. Mi madre tiene 47 años. My mother has 47 years. So you've seen these a lot. And you'll see new questions coming up with what is so-and-so's age that also uses this verb. So you can see some examples in there in the center of page 2, and I strongly encourage you to kind of get this down. Tengo, I have. Tienes, you have. Tiene, he, she has. So now there's 2 verbs that you have been using a lot, and there's a couple of others like the me llamo thing that you've seen a little bit. We've mostly used 2, so I'm concerned about not confusing them, as often happens. So if you look at the center of page 2, you'll see, for example, yo soy tu amigo. I am your friend. So yo tengo un amigo. I have a friend. Yo soy un amigo. I am a friend. Tu eres mi amigo, you are my friend. Tu tienes un amigo, you have a friend. The soy for I, eres for you, es for he, she, is the to be verb, the am, are, is. And the tango tienes tiene is the to have verb. So I urge you to pause for a minute, look at the center of page 2, and really straighten those out in your mind. Or you're going to end up saying things like, yo soy un lápiz. I am a pencil. No, you meant yo tengo un lápiz. And a reminder that words like yo and tu are very commonly left out in Spanish. So, tu tienes un lápiz? Do you have a pencil? Or just tienes un lápiz? Both are correct in Spanish grammar. The words like you and I get left out a lot. So, don't say yo soy un perro. That is, I am a dog. You meant yo tengo un perro. I have a dog. So pause, stop, look at the center of page 2, and it will help you out. Then the me and tu is on there again on page 2. They're pretty easy to use. Here we'll be using them a lot with family members. ¿Cómo se llama tu madre? What is your mother's name? Mi madre se llama Mildred. My mother and your mother. Tu with a written accent in Spanish means you. Tu with no written accent in Spanish means your. They are pronounced identically. The only difference is the written accent mark, which distinguishes them but is not pronounced. Oh, time for another random stop. Look at my beautiful poncho tonight. Oh, nice. Last time I had a special heavy poncho for colder environments called a ruana, but tonight's really is a poncho. That's what you would call it. I got this one at the Parque del Cafe. Oh no, you have to do things backwards to get them on screen correctly. Where did the logo go? There it is. Parque del Cafe, the coffee park. Parque del Cafe Coffee Park is a theme park in Colombia where we were in the summer of 2019. And in the coffee growing region of Colombia, it's a theme park with rides and so forth, as well as other stuff too, like a folkloric dance show around the history of coffee. It was actually spectacular. So down at the bottom of page 2, we have possessive day. This has been mentioned in class, but now it's time to get this down. Spanish has no apostrophe like English possessive apostrophe S. So in Spanish, Fred's book is not Fred's libro. Ay, ay, ay. It hurts the ears. It's a grotesque error of Spanish grammar. It's el libro de Fred, the book of Fred. Now, sometimes that sounds odd to our English ears. Sometimes it doesn't. Like we say, yeah, Mary is the cousin of Ethel. So that didn't sound too odd to your ears. Or, Mary is the niece of Donald Trump, is a lady who wrote a book about Mr. Trump. So that didn't sound weird. Mary is the niece of Mr. Trump. That didn't sound odd to your ears. However, the book of Fred, that sounds odd to your ears. But at any rate, there is no apostrophe S. There just isn't. Get it out of your head. So in this unit, we're going to be talking all the time about family members. Like, what's your mother's name? Where's your father from? So we're going to be using this day all the time. There's some examples at the bottom of page 2. ¿Cuántos años tiene la madre de Antonio? How many years does the mother of Anthony, or Anthony's mother, you would say, have? La madre de Antonio tiene 40 años. The mother of Anthony has 40 years, is 40 years old. ¿Cómo es el gato de Molly? What is Molly's cat like? El gato de Molly es hermoso. Molly's cat is beautiful. The cat of Molly is beautiful. So we're going to be using that a lot. I think that you'll understand it when you hear it. You might have a tendency to make the grotesque error of Spanish grammar when you speak it and say something like Molly's gato es hermoso. No, no, no. So you'll catch on to it. On page 3, there are 5 questions and answers, which are going to be the conversational heart of this packet. And I want to carefully compare them to things that you already know, relate them to knowledge that you do have, and then we're going to spiral it up to new stuff. So question number 1 on page 3, ¿Cómo se llama tu relative? You knew in Unit 1 the very similar ¿Cómo te llamas tú? Here's ¿Cómo se llama tu relative? So you can see the similarities, and I'm going to go slow and leave space to put them on screen in graphics there in front of you for you to compare. But the ¿Cómo se llama tu relative? ¿Cómo se llama tu madre? What's your mother's name? ¿Cómo se llama tu abuela? What's your grandmother's name? ¿Cómo se llama tu perro? What's your dog's name? Answer, mi relative se llama name, like mi madre se llama Mary. Or, as you'll see there on page 3, you could use a pronoun. Ella se llama Mary. She calls herself Mary. Also in Spanish, you can leave out names, nouns, and pronouns when the context is understood, as we've talked about earlier. Se llama Mary. Question number 2 on page 3. How old is your relative? So you knew ¿Cuántos años tienes? Is how you learned it. I left out the 2 when you first learned it. ¿Cuántos años tienes tú? Both are correct. We're going to change it a little bit now to ¿Cuántos años tiene tu relative? ¿Cuántos años tiene tu madre? How old is your mother? Answer, mi madre tiene number años, or ella tiene number años, or just tiene number años. Question number 3, what is your relative like? You've done very similar things. You've done ¿Cómo es Shakira? In conversation time. Now we're going to do ¿Cómo es tu relative? ¿Cómo es tu madre? What is your mother like? Answer, mi madre es adjective. So I hope you see the similarity in these 2 things that we've already done. And we're just going to take it up the next level and combine it with your existing knowledge and make your Spanish a little bit richer. The 4th one, highly similar. In conversation time all the time, I say to somebody, ¿De dónde eres? They say, soy de Guatemala. 2 minutes later, I say, ¿De dónde es Aiden? And when you say Aiden es de Guatemala, now we're going to switch it over to doing it with a family member. ¿De dónde es tu relative? Such as, ¿De dónde es tu madre? Where's your mother from? Mi madre es de Guatemala. In other words, the pattern is mi relative es de place, very similar to Aiden es de place. So the example on page 3 is with your uncle. Mi tío es de Honduras. My uncle is from Honduras, or él es de Honduras, or just es de Honduras. The 5th question is the hardest one. It's really more than one question for that matter. It's the family of questions like, do you have a blank? Like, do you have a dog? ¿Tienes un perro? Or if it was a feminine person or thing, ¿Tienes una tía? Do you have an aunt? So it's ¿Tienes un relative? Or ¿Tienes una relative feminine? You could also have the 2 in there. ¿Tú tienes una tía? Do you have an aunt? Then the version B on your page 3 is ¿Tienes plural relatives like ¿Tienes primos? Do you have cousins? ¿Tienes hermanos? Do you have siblings? So what we have to do there too is stop for a minute and explain that in Spanish, when they want to talk about Mixed gender groups in plural, like brothers and sisters, and put them together, they use the masculine one and pluralize it throughout Spanish grammar. I'll make some more examples in class too. Mostly this year so far, we're avoiding plural people. We're only talking about I, you, and he, she, mostly so far. Of course, there are plurals in Spanish like we and they, and so on, but we haven't been working with that so far. So if you want to ask if someone has siblings, you take the brother word and pluralize it. ¿Tienes hermanos? Do you have siblings? And then the third version, the letter C version of that on page 3 is ¿Cuántos plural relative tienes? How many plural relative do you have? Like ¿Cuántos hermanos tienes? ¿Cuántos hermanos tienes? How many siblings do you have? That should sound a great deal to you like ¿Cuántos años tienes? How many years do you have? But don't confuse them. One of them is talking about siblings, and one of them is talking about age. ¿Cuántos hermanos tienes? How many siblings do you have? ¿Cuántos años tienes? How many years do you have? The so Spanish way of asking age. Or any other plural noun. ¿Cuántos pesos tienes? And then there's different ways to answer them based on, the many different possible answers. If somebody says to you, ¿Tienes un perro? You could say, sí, tengo un perro. That's kind of like the one here on page 3, the letter A answer near the bottom of page 3. ¿Tienes hermanos? Wow, that's a complicated one. Actually, that merged into the letter C answer down at the page because we're so used to differentiating brothers and sisters. And we'll do that part in class, I think, and skip it here in the screencast. You can take a look at it in advance now, but we'll teach in class for each of you individually how to answer the question, do you have siblings? One person will want to answer, sí, tengo un hermano y una hermana. I have one brother, one sister. Or tengo un hermano y dos hermanas, feminine. Or you can even lump them together, like my wife in real life actually has 6 siblings. She would say, tengo 6 hermanos, 6 plural of the brother word. But she doesn't mean she has 6 brothers. She means she has 6 siblings. Unless she says, or unless you ask, you won't know how many are men and women, or in the case of people of your age group, boys and girls. She would say, tengo 6 hermanos, 3 hombres y 3 mujeres. I have 6 siblings, 3 men, 3 women. It's the so Spanish way to do it, but it's a little bit complicated for this screencast, so we'll leave that for working with that in class someday and coach each of you individually into making your individual answer, like I have a stepsister, 2 brothers, and a stepbrother, or whatever it is that you want to say. Okay, amigos, I think it's time to say hasta luego for now. Adios.